All right, let's talk about Unmatched, Cobble, and Fog. Now, this is a game, I mean, technically it's not only two-player, but this is a game that I only play two-player. This is a part of the Unmatched system, which is a re-implementation of an older system from a game called Star Wars Duels, which is freaking sick. But yeah, this version of the game has characters from all over, multiple IPs, old legends and fairy tales. They've got some really, really great characters. But one of my favorite sets to play, especially in the Halloween kind of October season, is this Cobble and Fog set. This is going to have 4 characters that come in the box: Invisible Man, Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, and Jekyll and Hyde. And the map comes with the muddy and murky streets of London, as well as Baskerville Manor to kind of fight in and play around. Now, if you're not at all familiar with Unmatched, it is actually a card-based kind of skirmish game where you're going to be using your deck of cards, and each of these decks is completely unique from each other. Your characters are going to have special abilities that make you unique, and every card is going to be different. And you're going to have all these different types of cards. You're going to have attack, defense, versatile, and scheme cards. The attack cards are going to be what you're using when you are trying to make an attack to an opponent. One of my favorite aspects of the game is that the map actually calculates range for you. So you're going to have all of these different colors on the map.
You can always attack an opponent adjacent to you by space, but if you're making a ranged attack, you can actually target an opponent in the same zone as you.
And so just with the layout of the board, it creates this kind of dynamic of or kind of, I guess, all of these interesting points. Like the map itself has all of these crazy choke points that you wouldn't expect, or all these crazy things like, oh, there's a balcony here, I can shoot over that balcony because those two are connected in color and I have a ranged attack. It's so cool that you can do that. So like ranged attacks can just target as long as you're in the same color of area. So there is a lot of play in just that aspect of the game. But you've also got the kind of the counterplay of like, once you get to the point where you know the other player's deck, then it gets really interesting, because then you're trying to anticipate, okay, what is my opponent going to play? What cards do they still have? What attacks do they have? And how much damage can they deal to me? And you're gonna start thinking about all of that very quickly as you kind of get into this game. Now, just to give you a little hint of some of the asymmetry in just this set alone, Dracula is trying to get close to their opponents and just be there, because if they start their turn adjacent to fighters, they're going to be dealing 1 damage to them automatically, and as they do that, they're going to be drawing a card, you know, sucking their blood and stuff. Jekyll and Hyde has a deck that splits between being able to play cards with Jekyll and with Hyde, and they all have kind of different varieties. So Hyde is really good at dealing high damage, and Jekyll might be a bit more defensive. There's interesting schemes on both sides, but at the start of every turn, you can actually change your form from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. And with that kind of decision is very, very interesting. However, as you're moving as Mr. Hyde, you actually just take damage. So even though you're stronger as Mr. Hyde, you don't want to stay there forever, because you're just going to be having damage dealt to you. The Invisible Man starts the game with 3 fog tokens, and they're actually able to move between them, almost like a warping mechanic. And also, as they are in those fog spaces, they actually gain extra defense against their opponents. And my personal favorite from this set has got to be Sherlock Holmes. It might be actually my favorite character of all the characters besides Little Red Riding Hood. Sherlock's whole deck plays with this manipulation of knowing what your opponent has and guessing. So it really requires you to step in the shoes of Sherlock Holmes and try to read your opponent, because if you can properly read your opponent, you're going to get such a benefit that you win by value, which is just so much fun, and it makes so much sense to the character of Sherlock Holmes. Every single October, I always love to bring out the Unmatched game series, and we'll just play a couple of rounds swapping characters each time. There's also some haunted characters that are not in this set that could be really good for this season, like Chupacabra is a playable character now, for example, or Bloody Mary. These could be just as easily kind of put into the cycle of characters and be very, very fun for a Halloween night. Now I've got some more really cool games to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about them. I've talked about quite a few 2-player games, but I'm thinking we need to go back to something that plays at a higher player count. So I've got a 3 to 4 player trick-taking game called Trick or Bid. I've got the link to that right above.